Chapter 36. You literally cannot read this parak without Rashi. And the other thing the other reason why I love reading these passages is because what I always love, and I really didn't really fully realize this until I started writing the Torah, is you see the names of people who appear later on in Tanakh, and you see that those were common names earlier in the Bible, names which we never would have thought were there. So anyway, let's start with.
And one other note, I just want to tell something that I learned is that it's amazing what you learn from how much attention is given is not only how much attention is given to this, but how little attention is given to other things. I mean, that's one lesson is there's a capacity of how much information. Think about it like a computer. A computer only has a certain amount of capacity. And if I take away from one thing, I could give to the other. So I can't overload everything. I have to have imbalance. So it's amazing what the Torah thought was important. It's like the Medrash that discusses Kama Yafes Sichei Avos, right? How much right? We need 59 psukim to tell over the story of Eliezer, and we learn halachas about Tumos, Shratzim from one letter. So
so it's beautiful.
We
say Rabbi Yosef.
Avdei Avos.
Yeah.
He's correcting me.
All right, so let us go to.
I'm going to get you back.
Yeah, well, that's what it's a chavrusa. So chapter 36, verse 1, Ve'ela told host Esav who Edom. This is the lineage of Esav. He is Edom. Esav lakach et noshav mibinot Canaan. Esav took his wives from the daughter of Canaan. Who did he take? As Ada bas Elon Achiti, as Alivama bas Ana bas Sivon Hachivi. Now, first of all, the name Alivama also appears elsewhere in the Torah. Where else does it appear?
Shomron.
What?
Shomron in the Kinos. Aholah is Jerusalem and Alivama is Shomron.
No, but in the Torah itself.
There's Aholiyav.
Yeah, but who else is Alivama?
Not elsewhere in the Torah.
Yeah, look it up. You'll see. Anyway, let's see what Rashi says. Ada bas Elon. So who is Ada? Rashi says Ada is the same woman who Esav married above, whose name was Basmas. Ada is Basmas. So why is she called Basmas earlier? Her real name was Ada. Al Shem Shaisa Mekateres Besamim Avodah Zarah. She used to bring spices as an offering to Avodah Zarah. So therefore we call her here Ada, but that's her real name, but her nickname is Basmas. And who's Alivama? And this is a beautiful one. Rashi says that, Ada bas Elon, that is Basmas bas Elon. So Ada is Basmas, the daughter of Elon. And who is Alivama? Alivama is Yehudit. Yehudit is the other name of, go back to Parakhov Vav, Pasuk Hello Moshe. We're in chapter 36. Chapter 36, if you go back, it says that Esav has two wives. He has Yehudit bat Be'eri and Basmas bas Elon. Yehudit, who's the heroine of Hanukkah. What taf is that in Shabbos? She's the heroine of Hanukkah. The Rashi at the top of the page talks about what she did to Holofernes. So Chav Beis of Hanukkah, of Shabbos. So Basma, Ada is Basmas, and Alivama is Yehudis. So why did Esav call her Yehudit? Her real name was Alivama. Omar she koferes ba'avodah zarah, to tell us that she rejected idolatry but not intentionally. Only kedei lahatos as aviv. She didn't really reject idolatry, but Esav was trying to trick his father. So he said, "Oh yeah, my wife converted to Judaism." She made a fake conversion. He said she converted. Her name is Yehudit. Arash is obviously bothered by the fact that Yehudit is a Haimish name. Yehudit's a Haimish name. It's a Jewish name. There's a whole book called Judith. So Judith is the heroine of Hanukkah. So what are we doing with Esav's wife named Yehudit? And this is the first time the name, we all of a sudden we have Yehuda and we have Yehudit. So she's a Jew. So he said, no, she's a fake Jew. She's a fake Jew. Like sometimes the white Jews are called the fake Jews. She was the original fake Jew, and she just took the name. Esav gave her the name to confuse his father. So we see from here that the two names here, Rashi's doing two things for us. First of all, he's saying these are the same two women. Esav didn't take additional women. These are the same two women he took earlier in chapter 26. And then, well, why are they given different names? So Rashi says the earlier names are nicknames that were given that were given either because they were her identity as an idolater or to cover up her identity as an idolater. And why is she called Alivama Bas Ana Bas Tzivon Achivi? So Rashi, this is one of my favorite Rashis. This is a great one. This is so Gishmak. Chapter 36. Chapter 36, this is a Gishmak Rashi. Rashi says, if she's the daughter of Ana, then she can't be the daughter of Tzivon. Because how can she be both? How can she be both? Because as Rashi is going to say, Ana was Tzivon's son. So how could she be both the daughter of Ana and the daughter of Tzivon? Look at this beautiful Rashi. Because it states, Eila b'nei Tzivon va'aya va'ana, that we know the children of Tzivon was Ana. So how could she be both the daughter of Tzivon and the daughter of Ana? Melamed sheba Tzivon al kalaso eishes Ana. So to tell us that Tzivon, who was Ana's father, he consorted with Ana's wife. V'yatza alivama b'bein shneim, and they produced alivama. So alivama was the daughter of the union. Hey, Noam, hey, Yoav, we're doing chapter 36. So Alivama is the daughter of Ana, and the daughter of Tzivon, but not really Tzivon, really Tzivon's wife. Tzivon was Ana's son, and Ana had an adulterous relationship with his son's wife, and that caused Alivama. And that's to tell us, Shekuam b'nei mamzeros hayu. It's to tell us that the reason why the pasuk tells us like this is to say that all these children who are born from these unions, all of Esav's descendants, they're all mamzerim. Yeah, Geshmak. All right, what a beautiful Rashi. Okay, so now we go into the net. We're doing one of the greatest chapters, 36, a chapter that usually people ignore. They say, well, what am I going to get out of this? Why is it even written? Well, we're seeing how Rashi gives us so much from here. And it says in Pasuk Gimel, Basmas, Bas Yishmael, and who else did Esav take? He married the daughter of Yishmael, Basmas, Achos Nevayos, the sister of Nevayos. So right here too, Rashi is going to give us a lot of Gishmak Perushim. So what does Rashi say? Rashi says later on she's going to be called Machalas, but here she's called Basmas, meaning earlier in Paraklaf Ches that she's called Machalas Bas Yishmael, and here she's called Basmas. So why? Because here it's telling us the name Machalas, earlier was Machalas, meaning forgiven. She was forgiven for her sins. There are three people whose sins are always going to be converted. The three people whose sins are always forgiven. Whose sins are always forgiven? Which three people, their sins are always forgiven? Anybody know? Type of person.
Chassan.
Right? Rashi says, no. So Rashi said, well, it could be, you're right, but Rashi says, first of all, Batzal said a groom on the day of his wedding. And so that's a Nose Isha, one who marries a woman. And then another one is a Gerish and a Skyer, a person who converts. And now the other one, which is actually relevant for us today in the news, Va'oel Dua, somebody who ascends to a position. You have to wipe his convictions off. So maybe if somebody, let's say, I don't want to speak politics, but if somebody is elected president and they're a convicted felon, then according to this Rashi, their sins are forgiven. You have to pardon them because you can't have a convict running the country. So according to this, Rashi says 3 people, our sins are forgiven from heaven. And the source for this idea that when one is married, their sins are forgiven is because she was called Machos Shenimchu Avonosav, because when Esav married her, his sins were forgiven. The Magen Avram on the Shulchan Aruch says that a woman is forgiven on the day of her marriage as well, not just a man. And Kedushas Levi says this also. And so therefore, so it's not just the man whose sins are forgiven, that's also the woman's sins are forgiven. That's why one time some people maybe they get married right between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur because they want to make sure when they go into Yom Kippur they don't have too much to do. They are forgiven for all their sins. So now Achos Nevayos, the sister of Nevayot, what does that mean? Rashi says Al Shem Shehu Isielo Mishameis Shmo. Nikras Al Shemo. Why was she called the sister of Nevayot? Because he married her off after Yishmael died, so she's called by her brother's name. Because the brother has the authority to marry you off. We're doing chapter 36, Reb Noah. Okay. Okay. So now the pasuk tells us. Okay. Vateu Ada Esav Esalifaz and Ada gave. Hello, Elon. How you doing? Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Yoav. So basically, Ada gave birth to Esav. Elifaz. Elifaz, I think, is a common Israeli name, right?
Heard that name before. Make sure. Got to look up where else.
Yeah, I don't know. Eliphaz, well, no, Eliphaz is Esav's son, but I think it's a common name in modern Hebrew, in Israel. And Basmas gave birth to...
No, you're thinking of Nimrod.
No. Well, here's another interesting thing. Basmas Yalda as Reuel. Basmas gave birth to Reuel. Reuel is a name that we have in, that's Yisro. Yisro is Reuel. So there's these names that are reappearing.
What? There's one of the characters in the Job story is also named Eliphaz. That's where I heard.
Oh, Eliphaz is in the Job story.
Eliphaz Hatemani.
Yeah, you're exactly right. No, I'm exactly right. So that's another example. I said these names will appear later on. But here he's also called, Petzal, look at Pasuk Yudah Aleph, look at verse 11. It says, Vayubnei Eliphaz Teman. The son of Eliphaz was Teman. So just for you. Maybe that's how, who knows? It's weird. Always had a like fascination with these.
Likewise.
So now it says, verse 5, V'alivama yolda es Yeush, ves Yalam, ves Korach. Here's another name. Alivama gave birth to Yeush and Yalam and Korach. There's another name right there. Like, what's Korach doing here? And Rashi tells us about Korach. What do we know about Korach? Rashi tells us. So Eliphaz gave birth to Korach. Who is this Korach? Rashi says, or chapter 36, verse 5, Kobe. Korach is a mamzer. He was a mamzer. Uben Eliphaz, he was the son of Eliphaz, Sheba al Ashes Afiv. And Eliphaz had interacted. He had the prohibited relationship with his father's wife. Wow. Everybody there is doing a lot of sins.
They used to share Pilagishes.
No, here it says with his wife, not with the Pilagish. Later on we have the Pilagish story, the Timnah.
What's that one?
No, it says Esav also.
Yeah. Okay, so we're in verse 6. Oh, all these children, these are the children of Esav, Asher Yuldu Lo Be'eretz Canaan. They were born in the land of Canaan. Vayikach Esav es nashav ve'es banav ve'es benosav. Esav took his wives, his sons, his daughters, as called nefshos peso, all the souls of his house. Ve'es migneu, his cattle, ve'es called be'emto, his animals, ve'es called kinyano. Asher achash be'eretz, and all the possessions he had in the land of Canaan. Vayilach al eretz b'nei Yaakov achiv, and he went to the land in face of Jacob his brother. Which land did he go to? That's the whole question. Vayilach al eretz. Sometimes people say, "I'm going to Eretz." They say that nowadays as an expression. What land did he go to?
Israel?
Well, it doesn't. Well, he was in Canaan,
Oh,
so he was there, and he went to a land. Which land did he go to? So Rashi says, "Lagur ba'asher yimtza." He just went wandering. Esav he was just wandering out there. He was just like going out in the Wild West, looking for a place wherever he can find. He had no specific country set in mind. And there was too much to dwell with Yaakov, too much to dwell together. And the land of their sojourns couldn't hold them back, couldn't hold them both. There wasn't enough. There wasn't enough supply, Rashi says. But there's a midrash that says something different. Rashi quotes the midrash. What does it mean? This is for Noam, because Noam's got he's the lawyer, so listen to what he's going to say. He says, Midrash Agada, what does it mean? Mimnei Yaakov achiv, that Esav left because of Jacob his brother. Mimnei shtarchov, shal gzeras ki ger yeh zaracha, hamutal zaro shal Yitzchak. So the Midrash says, this is the Midrash in Bereshit Rabbah, it says, Rashi quotes it, that he left because of his brother Yaakov. It means that there was a debt, there was a shtarchov, there was a debt that said, your descendants will be strangers in the land. That in the Brit Bein Abtarim, God comes to Abraham and he says, yeah, you're going to inherit this land, but your descendants will be slaves in a land, or strangers in a land that doesn't belong to them. That's the descendants of Isaac. So Esav left because he said, I don't want it. Esav says, I better get out of here. I don't want to be a slave. So Esav walked away from the land because he didn't want the downside. And he says, I want to get away from here. So Esav says, I want to get out of here. I don't want this land, and I don't want the presents, and I don't want the punishments. And he was embarrassed because he sold his birthright. So, meaning to say, he left for two reasons. One, he was embarrassed that he gave up his rights, and two, he didn't want any part of it. See how Rashi just takes a simple pasuk that we read so quickly, and he reads something so powerful into it, talking about a story of departure. So then the pasuk says, I'm sorry?
They asked me today about why Ishmael and Esav never inherit their part in the land. And really, she's explanation is the only one that's possible, that they are the one that they're the ones that didn't desire it.
Yeah, it's you're breaking
They're
up,
the
Brother
ones
Yosef. It's hard to
I
hear
know,
you.
I just texted Deborah to please share her screen, but I think she didn't hear me, so.
Okay. Well, anyway, we go to this. Now is the Rashi that Betzal was referring to. When I refer to this Rashi, it says, well, first of all, this is the Esav Bahar Seir. Esav lived in the Mount Seir. Esav who Edom. Esav is Edom. Bela told us Esav of Edom Bahar Seir. Ela Shmos Bnei Esav. Fine, these are the children of Esav. Eliphaz ben Ada, Ashes, Reuel, Ben Basmas, Ashes, Esav. Vayu Bnei Esav. Okay, now we come to the pasuk. Now we're talking about this Rashi, which Betzal referred to. This is a very, very this is the story you asked about Moshe. Let me read the pasuk, and then Timna Isa Pilegesh Le'Eliphaz. Timna, by the way, Timna, where does she appear also? She appears, I'm no expert on this, but correct me if I'm wrong, isn't she in the Christian Bible? Maybe you're familiar with that, Noam? Isn't there a Timna in the Christian Bible?
There are like copper mines outside of Atlanta. Is that name? I'll have to look it up.
Timna in the Christian Bible? Anyway, I think that's maybe why they give this really negative midrash about her. Somebody can look up Timna in the Christian Bible. It says, hello, Bill. Timna was the concubine for Esav, the son of Esav, for Eliphaz. Vateled Eliphaz as Amalek. And Eliphaz gave birth to and she gave birth Amalek to Eliphaz. Ela b'nei Ada Eshes Esav. This is the children of Ada, the wife of Esav. So it's a strange pasuk. It says Timna was the concubine to Eliphaz, the son of Esav, and she gave birth to Eliphaz Amalek. Let's see what Rashi says. So gishmak here. Look at this Rashi. Did it appear? Did you find anything, Noam? Okay.
This was the pasuk that the Gemara in Sanhedrin said bothered Chizkiyahu so much he couldn't deal. This was his what's the word I'm looking for? This was his one pasuk that he used as TMI. This was his example.
Yeah, well, look at what the Rashi says. Rashi says, no, you know what? I got it wrong. I was thinking of Tabitha. Tabitha's in the Christian Bible. Okay, fine. So, also show Avram. So, why does it say that Timna was the concubine of Esav, of Eliphaz? Why do we even care? So, Rashi says, to make known the greatness of Avram. Kama hayu te'evim lidabek bezaro. How much people desired to be joined to his offspring? Timna zobas alufim haita. Timna was the daughter of generals or princes, as it says, Vachos Lotan Timna. It says the sister of Lotan was Timna. Lotan me'alufe yoshve Sa'iraya. And Lotan, we know, was one of the chiefs of Seir, from the Chorim Sheyashvu Balafnim, who were already living there. So Timna said to Eliphaz, and this is the greatest, she said, Eini zocha linasa lecha. I'm not privileged to be married into you. You're a descendant of Abraham, even though you're on the wrong side, you're on Esav's side, and I won't be privileged to marry to you. At least let me be your concubine. And but we have a problem, because in Chronicles it lists her as amongst the offspring of Eliphaz. This teaches us that Eliphaz sheba al ishto shel Seir. Eliphaz had relations with the wife of Seir. V'yata Timna mi b'neim, and Timna came forth from them. Ukeshegadla, and when she grew up, Naasis Pilak, she became his concubine. So Eliphaz's concubine was Timna, but she was also his daughter. He was with his daughter and his concubine, the same person. That's why it says, in the sister of Lotan's Timna, and it doesn't count them with Bnei Seir, because she was Lotan's maternal sister, but not his paternal sister.
Why do we care that they were all mamzers if there was no halachic significance before Matan?
They're just trying to show that they are
mamzers, and they weren't.
We want to show their lineage, that they're shvach, They're not pure breeds.
And also there's a surah on Bnei Noach for Achot Min Ha'av, right?
Right.
All of the relationships that are related to the father are prohibited from Bnei Noach.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, it's not about moms or not, it's about the fact that they didn't keep to simple.
Right. But it all started with a mule.
Yeah, that was an earlier Rashi.
Right, that's how it all started.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vital, a mule cannot produce a human.
No, the mule is coming later on. That's in Pasuk
Right.
Chof Dalet. That's with the Yemim. Vesa Yemim.
Mesayemim. Asher
Yeah.
b'mitzvah. Right.
Yeah, no, that's in Pasuk Chof Dalet here. We're gonna get to that, but not today because we have to stop. But I just to show you, when I show you about all these names, it says these are the kings, and it lists all the kings' names, and it lists amongst them Shaul. Shaul was a king. I always love that. All right, we'll stop here.
I'm still waiting for you to show me where it says Ahalivama in the Chumash.
I'll look it up after. I can't look it up while we're studying, but it's there. I'll leave them
Okay.
up. It's there. I think
Okay.
so.
Okay.
All right. Shkoyach.